If you're watching this video, you might be thinking about whether or not you should move to the Seattle area. Today, I'm going to give you reasons on why you should not move to the Seattle area. I want you to know the reality of what it's like to live here. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. Definitely not the sunshine part. We'll cover that in a second. But we do have quite a lot of rainbows from some of the rain, right? Which brings me into weather. When it comes to the weather, like a few days ago, we had one sunny day and we were like, oh my gosh, so pretty, so beautiful. And then boom, rain forecasted for the next week and a half to 2 weeks, right? It can get tiring. You know, especially going to work every day, coming back. If you love what you do, it's going to be a lot easier. Like, I love what I do, so it is easier for me to kind of overlook things. But if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you really don't love what you do, and then you have the added complexity of weather and the gloominess around here, even if it's not raining, it can be gloomy, you might want to just avoid moving here. And I'm being real with you, right? I'm saying this at the expense of you. Now I'm coming here and not using me as your agent to help you. This is something that you should really consider. When it's sunny, it's wonderful, but I think Seattle averages like 250 days of rain per year out of 365 days. That's a lot. But it's what our climate needs because, of course, we're in the great Pacific Northwest, and you know, the plus side of being in the Pacific Northwest is you get to go out. There's so many beautiful spots around here. Even if it's raining, taking a drive to any of the national parks, it can be peaceful, really peaceful, and just an amazing experience when you do go out into the woods or hike up Mount Rainier or go to Olympic National Forest or, you know, go up Rattlesnake Ridge, you know, for a few hours hike. It can be really peaceful, but it can also get to you. So it's kind of like there is some good in the bad weather, but it's up to you to decide. Honestly, if you work a remote job and you can come up here and rent for a few months just to experience what it's like, I would come up here probably from like maybe March, February to June, July. That way you get a little hint of the rain and a little hint of the sun, right? So you can kind of see what it's like. And we do have a lot of great lakes here for you to go enjoy your summers at. But let's head back to, again, another negative side, right? There are positive things, but this video is all about reasons why you should not move over to Seattle. So when it comes to affordability, we covered it in another video a few weeks ago about how expensive it is to live here, and we uncovered my own personal expenses and the average expenses of somebody living here. You need a net, per our video, of $87,600 per year just to break even and live paycheck to paycheck over here. So when it comes to affordability, it can be really expensive to buy a home if you have a salary of only $100,000 a month, of only $100,000 a year. A month would be actually really nice, right? But if you're at 100 grand a year, you know, we counted in a mortgage back in that video of 2615. That's either a mortgage or maybe a place to rent, but that mortgage with these high interest rates right now could be as high as $4,000 a month, $4,500. I just added $1,000 more because it might not be a mortgage, you might be renting, and rental prices are actually pretty decent. You could find something for about $2,600 a month, but very likely it could be more expensive. And depending how much down payment you're putting down or whatever, right? There's so many factors in buying a home. Your monthly mortgage payment could be $4 grand a month, or it could be closer to $3,000 or $2,500, depending on where you buy. My client recently bought a house in Tacoma for $400,000. His monthly mortgage payment is going to be $2,200 a month, right? If you're way up north, your monthly mortgage payment could be $6 grand a month. I don't know, depending on your situation. So if you want to move over here to the Seattle area, we can sit down and break down what your monthly payment will actually be. Reach out to me at the QR code below, and I'd be happy to sit down and kind of break that down with you so you'll understand what you will be looking at if you're moving here. So affordability, like I said, that's a big negative over here when it comes to the living scene here in the Seattle area. Now, when it comes to traffic, it depends where you work, right? If you work a remote job, you probably won't even hit any traffic. But our traffic, the way that our rush hour works is if you head north in the mornings, you're stuck in traffic. If you head south in the evenings, you're stuck in traffic. So if you can work north and head south in the mornings and north in the evenings, you'll avoid traffic. If you live in Tacoma and you're going to Seattle for work, expect 2 hours at least, 2.5 hours. I'm talking one way, guys. one way Tacoma to Seattle in the morning rush hour. Expect 2 hours minimum of drive time. Minimum, assuming there's no accidents and road work, which there's always road work in Tacoma. The locals all know that with the new casino that was built, and there's still continuing road work, so expect at least 2 hours. Now let's talk about homelessness, right? And the mental health crisis over here in the Seattle area. A lot of drugs, a lot of homelessness, lots of prostitution on Aurora Avenue. We just sold a condo over there, and let's just say if you're driving through Aurora Avenue, pray for green lights, okay? And close your kids' eyes. Or just never travel there if you can avoid it, right? So yeah, a lot of homelessness, lots of drugs. We have the fentanyl, overdoses happening quite often, multiple times per day. And we see a lot of this firsthand. Our church goes to serve the homeless community down in downtown Seattle and in Tacoma every Saturday, every other Saturday, once in Tacoma, once in Seattle, once in Tacoma, once in Seattle, so they switch. But they serve the homeless community down in downtown Seattle and Tacoma. I've been a part of many of the times that they go out, and we see it firsthand. Ambulances getting called out, some people overdosing, right? It's all over the news. And with a lot of the drugs comes crime. That's another thing. Property crime, which, property crime, okay, as long as nobody gets killed. But yeah, people get killed too, just like any other big city. There's murders and stuff like that happen. You don't really hear about it too often. Really, it's more property crime, and you might walk out of your nice $1 million home you bought in Queen Anne, and you see a tent pitched out in your, near your front yard. And when it comes to homeless people, if they squat your property, landlord laws are not for the landlord here in Seattle. They're always in advantage to the person who's renting. It's very easy to become a squatter here, very easy. It's very easy to become a landlord in a squatter situation here. If somebody breaks in, they have squatter rights, they have tenant rights. Some areas here you can't evict people for 9 months out of the year because then first it's winter, then it's the school year, and you can't evict people then. You can only evict them in a 3-month cycle when they're out of school. As a landlord, I'm providing affordable houses. My rents are below market rents to all of my tenants. All my tenants love me. I take care of the property. Almost anything they ask, I fulfill within reason, right? But I provide a good service to people in the houses that I buy, and I try to do right by everybody all the time. And when somebody comes in and thinks they can just squat and take advantage of you and your family, that's not a place that I want to have myself be in. So if you're looking to be a landlord here in the Seattle area, I would avoid that, honestly. Hit the suburbs, kind of like I did. But even to the suburbs, we're seeing these strict laws come little by little by little. So I don't know how long I'm going to be a landlord here, but for now I am. And I do hope to remain so for a long time. You could be buying a house for one of many reasons. Maybe it's just for you and your family, but through real estate, you can build wealth. I'm a Ukrainian immigrant. We came here in 1998. July 4th, we flew in with the fireworks. Everybody was celebrating. It was beautiful. And I love America. I think it's the best country in the world. My grandma, she went through communism and sat in jail for her faith and a bunch of other things, and went through World War II. We've seen both sides of things, and I think America is the greatest country in the world. I really believe that. But with laws like these that get pushed, it's becoming tougher and tougher to kind of see the bright side of things. However, we're talking about Washington State here. I know a lot of people out in the Midwest who are very happy to own real estate and provide great services. I have a rental in the Midwest too. My tenants love me. I love them. Everything's great. As long as they pay on time, everybody's happy, right? So anyways, I'm ending the rant on the landlord situation and everything else, but if you're looking to be a landlord here, probably should reconsider. And for our last topic of the day, when it comes to the job market, job saturation is real here. I know a lot of people who work for Microsoft, and if you think about it, like Microsoft, if you work for them, you're probably going to be working in Redmond. That's where all of their campuses are. And if you're so dependent on one company, like I remember in 2020, when layoffs started happening, I had multiple clients who called me up and they're like, hey, we're gonna have to pause our job search. I'm not sure if I'm even gonna have a job, right? So in an area that is a tech hub, you're still so dependent on one company. You know, if you think about it, there is no job stability in anything. Like, I'm an entrepreneur, right? I work for myself. I've worked 9-to-5 jobs before. I used to work in Best Buy. That was my very first job. And from one side, there is job stability. If you work for an employer, it's good because you're like, hey, a stable paycheck. But you know what? The moment that something goes south for your employer, they start cutting people. So, which is a whole different thing. I don't want to go on an entrepreneurial rant, but you know, there is no job stability anywhere from how I see it, right? Your company can kick you out at any time. And yeah, if you have qualifications, you can go find a job at another employer. But you know, when it comes to the job market, just some of the things that you guys should consider when moving here. So with that, I want to end this video and say thank you so much for watching it. We usually don't shoot negative videos here, but I did want to cover those points because I really do believe it's important for you to know them if you're looking to move here to the area. So guys, really appreciate your time. Thank you for watching Seattle Living 101. And if you're looking to move here, despite all the negative things that I mentioned, or at least want to talk about it, scan the QR code down below or call me up at the number that's popping up on the screen, and I would be happy to help you make that smooth move over to the Seattle area. Catch you in the next one.